All right, so it is Tuesday, January 27th. It is the last day that Gary's up here. He'll be driving back home to the great state of Texas. Actually, probably in the next 5 minutes. But I'd say, Gary, what do you think? We had a pretty successful trip. I mean, we were, you know, sky's looking good. I do want to mention we did settle on a name for the car. It is going to be Ella. Seems to be very, very fitting for a car of elegance, sexiness, and just the time period. But what do you think, Gary?
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. It's a great name, and it's I think going to do Al well, and I think it's going to be a heck of a exciting project to work on. Really,
I agree, and I have to definitely get some things done before you come back, and I'm gonna need your help at some point for sure. But you know, I think we're gonna tackle the first steps, and you know, we'll keep updated as that happens. It just won't be while it's -8 degrees out.
No. But yeah, forward momentum. That's the key.
Absolutely, slow and steady. But thank you guys for watching and keeping on top of our adventures and shenanigans. There'll be more to come.
You know, this is like the start of the next video, right?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I do.
All right.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. This is.
We're off to a good start.
Yep. Yep. Welcome back. It is May the 6th. We're obviously not at the shop, as you can tell. We'll have some extra video we're going to throw in there because we did some work on the car today, a little bit yesterday too. But Cinco de Mayo, margaritas, Mexican food, you know, what can I say? So anyway, Gary, what do we get done first off before we open this can of not cooking meth in a house?
No. Well, we got down to the car and did some evaluation on it. Got a lot of the tools and parts that we need there, and kind of just looked over everything. We took off several parts and bolts and such that we're trying to clean up. And how are we trying to do that?
Well, a couple different ways. So the head, which was in the back of the car, was pretty nasty, so we left it in a...
The head of the engine.
Yes, the head of the engine. Yeah. That's right. So we had a giant Tupperware container. We're on the chemistry route, so we use citric acid bath to try and strip away a lot of the rust that's in there. And for this, for all the bolts, nuts, and one of the coolant stems, right, we're going to go different paths. So this is chemistry. We're using acetic acid this time instead of citric, so your household white vinegar. It's an ultrasonic cleaner. So we have so far, still heating up, so nothing too crazy, but you know, a bunch of this parts to hold the head on, as well as for the valve assemblies. So yeah, what we're doing right now, as you can see, some of the bubbles are already popping up for reactions taking place. And once it gets up to temperature, we'll be able to turn it on, and the ultrasonics will start breaking all that crap loose, and hopefully this fluid will become a lot nastier looking and the parts a lot better looking.
All right. We'll check back in the morning on how that's doing, and then also when we go back and check the head and see if the magical chemistry juice you put together worked.
That sounds so wrong, dude.
So, yes, join us tomorrow for Al's magical juice.
God, dude, come on, man. Alright, so you can see it's already starting to chew up a lot of the rust. We're going to turn this puppy on, and...
What a delightful new sound you've discovered, Al.
Yeah, that sounds like the sound of burning eardrums and frying brains. We'll come back and take a look at this after it's been running for about 15-20 minutes.
Alright, Al, so what are we doing here today?
So we're here, mentioned before, we were using the ultrasonic cleaner for the parts, but for the head, which is obviously too big to fit in that thing, we went, once again, old school chemistry, dude, and using citric acid. So it's been sitting here overnight. Let's take a look how nasty this head of the water looks.
Good.
All right. That's lovely. Actually did a pretty good job, actually.
Yeah, the water was clear yesterday.
Look at all that crap coming out from inside.
So this is the head of the engine block for this L-head engine.
Yep, which is really characterized. You can see the pistons actually are on this side of the block, and the combustion chamber is not directly over the piston head, which is normal for that time period, but not so much anymore these days.
That's pretty light, right? That's aluminum?
Oh yeah, we'll go with that. So no, this is old school cast iron. Yeah.
One-handed.
Actually, pretty decent job. The rest of the stuff we can scrape off the wire brush, but it actually doesn't look that bad. It doesn't look bad at all compared to what it did yesterday. That water looks pretty freaking nasty though.
One cool thing is you can see it's got a timing stamp on it, so it tells you what the timing is, which is pretty nifty. Yeah. So we'll go ahead and get this cleaned up, and then we're gonna paint it, right?
That's the plan.
And each of these holes in here is for a bolt to hold the head on. So as you can see, there is a crap ton of them.
Yep. And the ones that are on these recessed ones are for your spark plugs, but yeah, there's a outside of that.
All right, well, we'll get working on that and we'll get back to you.
All right, see you guys in a bit.
So Al, can you walk us through what you're doing now?
Trying to get the socket back on this hub puller, but I think we just been hammering the shit of this end point so bad that we disfigured it.
Well, thankfully it's a rental.
Yeah. So, kind of what's going on here is old cars like this one have a tapered axle, and as you can see, if you pull a wheel off a normal car today, your lugs, or these things, right, where you actually put the lug nuts on to tighten, are not a part of the axle assembly. They're actually part of the whole wheel, the drum brake assembly. So what we're doing here to remove it, since it's a tapered axle, old school, so this hub puller is attached to 3 of the lug studs, attached to the brake drum, and there's a center post here that's going through pushing against the axle itself. So the goal is that we're putting a bunch of force to pry this right off the axle. The problem is it's probably been rusting for the last, 50 years. And these are notorious to be attached because since everything here is basically friction welded, not truly friction welded, but essentially the same thing. It's become a real bitch to get off.
One good thing, or one important thing to note, is when doing this, these will pop off, and basically like an artillery shell. So if you take that castle nut and you put it back on, it'll theoretically catch the drum so it doesn't just shoot out at subsonic speeds, killing everyone and everything in its wake.
Yeah, that's the goal. So the next video will either be with some success, some anger, or in the emergency room. We'll let you guys know. So we got good news. Well, neither of us are dead. We shit our pants either. But yeah, that does make a horrible pop when that comes off. So right now, we are backing this out because the castle nut did stop the drum from flying out towards us. But now we gotta loosen the castle nut and yeah, hope we get this drum off and take a look at everything underneath it.
But we're still alive, and that was a terrifying sound.
I think the only other sound that you mentioned earlier has been just as terrifying is, so we'll show you when we get inside. From these old cars, you can actually get to the valve assemblies on the side of the car, inside of the engine, sorry. And there's a single bolt on each side of the panel that you loosen, but it's not like a hex head or anything. It's one of those old school, it's not butterfly.
Well, yeah, butterfly, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, and you we couldn't get open, so we had to use a vice grips, and I hear this snapping sound that both of us looked at each other like, oh shit, we're gonna have to buy new parts. But nope, that's apparently normal. So, all right, well, we're gonna see if we can get the rest of this off, and we'll have an update shortly. All right, so good news, sort of. We may or may not have disfigured part of the tool. But good news is, drum's coming off.
Easy as that. So, yeah.
We'll get the rest of this off, but I'll give you the good news.
We got the brake drum off. This is the interior of it. As you can see, it's a little rusty, but we can make it work. And here is the interior of it. The shoes on this are actually in fairly decent shape. There's some thickness there. I'm not quite sure why it was so stuck on there, but this is one of the wheels that wouldn't move. But now that we have that off, hopefully we can make it move, and it was free of rust. And the pads actually look like they're in good shape. You can see where they were kind of welded to the the drum here. But we'll see if we can get these turned. which is basically taking a sharp blade and cleaning these. You can do that at generally any auto parts store like O'Reilly's, AutoZone, what have you. And yeah, get working on these. These are old technology.
All right, Gary. So what's going on, man? Let's see what's some funky things about this tire we picked up on earlier.
All right, we're working on this side, and this side is interesting because it has left threaded nuts and bolts. So to tighten, you go to the left, which is a really kind of screwed up Bizarro world thing.
That's kind of crazy. So why is that, though? You can tell the viewers.
So it was believed back in the day that if the bolts were right-hand threaded, which every bolt you'll find today is, they would come loose as the tire rotated due to centrifugal forces and mathematical things. But that turned out not to be true, so they're like, we'll switch them all back to right-handed. Yeah, so this one, the other one was converted to right-handed. This one's still on the left hand. So right now, we're doing the same process of putting a lot of force that direction on this big old crank bolt, and then we've put these nuts on the studs here to pull that direction. So the idea will be to pull this drum off using the counter forces here, but it gets really tough, and we may need a breaker bar. Yeah, so we'll get on that.
All right, sounds good. Thank you. See you guys shortly.
Alrighty, so we've cleaned up the head. We used the chemical bath that you saw earlier, and then used the wire wheels to it off, and then finish that up with some acetone to really get it nice and clean. And Al at this point is going to start doing some spray painting. Al, what color are we using today?
We're using just straight up white. We're going to go ahead and kind of a little pop of the old school, you know, dark green and white to cause a contrasting color. I can't speak today, it's fine.
That's fine, that's fine. And have you ever spray painted an engine head before?
Not an engine head, nope.
Okay, so this will be a fun little experiment, I think.
Yes, it will.
All right.
Come back after this is done.
Oh, I want to watch this.
Oh, great.
That's primo work there at Al's Body and Paint.
Saving the money for parts, man. Saving the money for parts.
All right, we'll get back to you when we finish, but basically this is what we're going to be doing. All right, and here we see the finished product of the spray painting. Is it 100% perfect? No, but it looks a heck of a lot better than it used to. We've got the white paint all over. It's still a little tacky, so we're going to let it dry. Thankfully, it's extremely dry here. And Al did a great job of spray painting this.
Oh man, you did all the other coats, brother. Don't take it. It's not all me, man.
Demonstrating his knowledge and expertise in this. So once this is dry, we'll peel off all the tape, the painter's tape we put on it, and it'll be ready to put back on, but we still have to do valve covers and some other things. So right now we're going to head back to the wheels. All right, Al, so what are you doing over here?
Right now I'm taking the castle nut off of the front right.
That castle nut looks pristine. Did you just buy that?
No, I did not, oddly enough. Full bearing assembly. What do you think? Wow. Surprising to see it that well in that good of shape.
Now that should just be able to pull right off. As long as the guy has a little bit of strength to him.
Well, we never beat the shit out of this drum, dude. Can you hand me that dead blow hammer, please? As long as the guy has any strength, huh?
But if you're kind of a weakling,
there we go.
Oh, you got it.
Oh, man, look at all that brake dust. Oh yeah, yummy. That actually looks really good too. Holy crap. Look how much lifestyle is left on those drums.
Yeah, I think those are actually in really good shape.
Now you can definitely tell this has been driven because these shoes are quite a bit more worn than the rears, which is normal, which makes sense because most of the energy when braking is actually done by the front brakes. So that makes sense. But these shoes actually look like they're still in pretty decent shape.
Now, one really interesting thing to note is that these wheel cylinders are half the size of a normal wheel cylinder and like split in two, which normally you just have one that's twice that size at the top, but these are actually kind of off center and like half wheel cylinders. I've never seen that before in all my many years of working on many cars.
You're not the only one, man. That's something new for me as well. All right, well, we got this guy off, which was, I don't want to say easy because that's a really bad thing to say.
It is. Don't put that in the atmosphere.
No. All right, so yeah, we're gonna. Sorry, but I was gonna pull the other half of the bearing out.
All right, so yeah, he took the outer bearing out, and now he's taking the inner bearing out, and we're gonna do the same thing to the other side, and we'll have all four brakes or all four drums off and tires, and then we're gonna try and work on getting these fixed up. So we'll get back to you.
So we're on the driver's side now, and Gary, do you want to explain to the viewers what we're about to show them as far as when we were checking the underneath the rubber bushing of the brake cylinder?
Yeah, so
what you got here? It kind of looks like,
as you can see, it's kind of like a dusty, grainy stuff coming out, which is an indication that the wheel cylinder has failed and does need to be replaced. Just because, you know, they keep the brake fluid in there, and it's part of the safety mechanism of the vehicle, so you do want that to be good. We also have the old grease on here, which we'll clean up with some brake cleaner and put some new grease on. But for right now, we're going to go try and get some new tires if we can for this bad boy.
We can. I do want to notate too, though, like the rear driver's side too, these were all left-threaded studs, so it definitely is kind of like a little bit of messes with your mind a bit. I also want to say I hope this is when this goes on YouTube, someone's watching and finds it useful. Everything when I was looking to pull the brake assemblies off of this car on YouTube were very unhelpful. The only one I could find was, I'm pretty sure the guy was doing the front assembly because he literally just pulled it off like we did here. You guys have probably saw us cursing. Well, you can imagine us cursing. It wasn't on film. Getting the brake.
We would never do that.
Yeah. The rear drums. But yeah, the rear drums definitely, they sound like a pretty nasty pop, but the front drums came off nice and smooth. So.
Yeah, the rear ones were terrifying.
Yeah.
I think that was a mix of both the tapered, so it gets larger, so this is tapered. It gets smaller as it goes out. So that kind of getting stuck, as well as the actual shoes were kind of rust welded to the drum. But once you got them off, good to go.
Yes, sir. Alright, so as Gary said, we're going to go ahead and see if we can get some tires for the car and put you guys up in a little bit. Alright, how we doing today, Gary?
Doing good.
Alright, so today's actually been a really productive day. Sorry we didn't video as much of all the intricacies of what we're doing because it's been kind of a sporadic day. Anyway, so a couple things we did do is you saw us, we were prepping the head and we were painting it. Came out gorgeous, by the way. We finally took off all of the basically the over splatter protection.
Yeah, tape, whatnot.
Tape, yeah, my brain's fried, sorry. So that came out gorgeous. The other thing we did, let's go take a look over here, Gary. So these are the brake drums. Now, you know, fronts and rears. They sat in that citric acid bath in the tub over there, we'll get to in a minute, for quite a little while, and then we ended up hitting it with chlorinated brake cleaner. Now, say what you want, I know people are gonna get pissed off with the whole environmental part of it. I grew up back in the days learning from like my father and grandfather who ran auto shops way back in the day, where you had the old buckets of part cleaner, right? Where you have, you know, the dichloral methane at the bottom of the bucket and the layer of water on top of it, and a basket you label or lower through, and it strips everything. So we finally were able to get some of that great brake part cleaner. I can't speak today, I'm sorry. And it didn't just strip everything right off, didn't it, Gary?
It sure did. And we hit these with some black paint, and they're looking mighty fine now. Mighty fine.
As you can tell, they're on the third coat, so they're a little bit wet looking at the moment, because that last coat's always a little bit heavier than the rest. But it'll dry up nicely. Probably in the next, well, it's getting kind of cold out, so it might be another hour before it fully before it gets dry. So let's go over here real quick. This is the intake manifold. Now it looks probably pretty funny compared to other ones. Just the whole engine is going to be different. But anyway, so we painted this a nice, I don't know, I don't want to say fire engine red because I'm not a hose jockey, but you know.
100-mile-an-hour red.
There we go, 100-mile-an-hour red, racing red, Ferrari red, whatever you want to call it. Can we say that, or is that like copyright and you have to edit that shit out?
No, that's good.
Okay. So yes, that's going to be red. This is going to be your intake manifold. The exhaust manifolds already came prepped and painted and sealed in a dark gray, which look really nice. I don't know if you want to pan and see. Move the light real quick. You can actually see the head. And that came out absolutely gorgeous. Man, needs a little cleaning still on the mating surface. You know, but it's looking good. And the car itself, you know, we've actually made a lot of progress today. I mean, we got a lot of parts we needed this past week, the past 2 days. And, I mean, at this point, Gary, I mean, what's left? We got to repack the bearings.
We also were able to source some tires.
That's right.
Some Whitewall tires, which is really nice. Found a pretty good price on them, like $126 each or so.
Yeah, it was a great price. But yeah, so we found a great tire place that was local, not a chain or anything. Guys were great. You know, we showed up with it on the rim, like, 15 minutes before it closed. Said, hey, we're looking for a replacement of this. And the guy who was running it, but he was a really good dude. He just jumped. He's like, oh, wait a minute, what's this for? Like, oh, it's for, 52 Coronet. And sure enough, he gets his measuring tape out, because these old tires, they're not typical radials like today. They're called Bias-Ply tires. So it doesn't have that 3-number code that we have these days. So there's not like a direct conversion, but you can get close to it. So that's,
it's like metric and standard, kind of.
Pretty much. Yeah, and he did a great job. He spent some time there, started sourcing. They even offered to order us 2 sizes just to see and mount it and see what actually works better on the car. And then sure, he's like, you know what? I got an idea. Found the right one. Sure enough, they're in stock. So we dropped the rims and tires off.
They should be ready tomorrow.
Yeah, should be ready tomorrow morning. And also, if you're restoring an old car, you're getting new wheels or whatever for it, you can ask your tire guys or whatever place is mounting them to put the wheel weights on the inside so it doesn't disrupt the lines of your rims.
Yeah.
Sounds stupid, but I think it looks...
Yeah, because the new tires don't have hubcaps on them or anything like that. That's all just part of it. The old ones, you had an extra piece on it. They're somewhere. You'll see those eventually.
Absolutely.
There's one other thing I wanted to ask about this intake.
What's up?
So, this intake manifold has like a little cutout here. What's that for?
Good point. So we kind of have a weird situation going on. So these old engines, I guess, let me backtrack. So the original exhaust manifold and intake manifold, they actually bolt together. And the intake manifold, as you can see, you only have 3 pipes to go in. So each piston, each cylinder shares an intake. Now the exhaust, you're going to have 1 here, 2 here, 2 here, 1 here, because every single piston gets its own exhaust. Now, the way that they design these engines is that the exhaust manifold sits in between perfectly, and this is a cutout to allow heat from the exhaust to actually help warm the intake manifold to help get a better vaporization of that air-fuel mixture coming in from the carburetor. So, well, unfortunately, we couldn't source an original exhaust manifold. We found a great company that allowed it to have it's a 2-part manifold. So instead, we have an adapter plate that's going to screw on, and it actually cycles fluid from your cooling system. So it's actually going to put hot fluid through there to help keep the intake warm and good vaporization and, just hopefully good performance at the end.
All right, well, we got one more coat of this red to put on, and then we're going to pack it up for tonight.
Heck yeah. Thank you guys for watching. I know it's kind of a weird pace of what things are going, but we appreciate you guys viewing, so stay tuned for more.